Ladies and gentlemen, thank you once again for tuning in to another episode of the Generation of Wrestling podcast. As always, is yours truly, the 28-year-old piece of gold, the franchise, aka the showstopper, better known as the GOW's resident tribal chief. And with me, as always, I got my tag team partner, my brother, my family. He is the flyest in the room, Mr. 1, 2, 3. Pin that ass down, K Breezy, aka King Two Code in the building, brother. What's going on?
Man, nothing much, man. You know how we do, man. Another special day today, man. We got a Impact Ring of Honor legend to talk to today.
Well, speaking of, you already said best known for his work in, TNA, now known as Impact Wrestling, Ring of Honor, former tag team champion, former X Division champion. But Saturday, January 8th in Dallas, Texas, he goes one-on-one with Ring of Honor world champion Jonathan Gresham in the first ever title defense of Ring of Honor on an Impact Wrestling show. But before we get to that, man, let's talk about what led up to it. But before we even do that, Chris, how are you?
Oh, I'm doing wonderful. I want to say you guys have like way better nicknames and gimmicks than I have, man. Jeez.
It took time to get to him, and trust me.
Yeah.
Thank you, thank you. All right, well, Chris. So, like I said, January 8th, you're going to be facing Jonathan Gresham for the Ring of Honor World Championship at Impact Wrestling's Hard to Kill pay per view. But my question to you would be, how did we get here? How did your initial run in TNA at the time come about, and then following that, how did you get involved with Ring of Honor?
Well, I'll tell you, the way I got there was it was a surprise. I didn't know the match was happening, and when they announced the match online, that was actually the first time I knew that it was happening. So,
Wow.
yeah, there wasn't much like build up. It was quite a surprise when I found out. So, what was the second part?
How did your initial run in TNA come about?
Like back in the day in
Yeah,
2003.
yeah.
Yeah, so I started at a wrestling school in just outside Detroit, Michigan, the NWA Great Lakes Pro Wrestling School, and the school was experiencing some issues, didn't have a place to put a ring and all that stuff. So there's a guy, Amazing Nate Matson. Um, he was training at that school. He brought me over to the Can-Am Wrestling School in Windsor, Ontario, right across the bridge from Detroit in Canada. And that's where I met Scott Demore at the Border City Wrestling School. So Scott saw that I had talent, and he was working with Jeff Jarrett, I think with some World Wrestling All-Star stuff at the time. And he just knew Jeff Jarrett generally already. And he ended up booking me in a match against Sabu on one of his Border City Wrestling shows. And then he ended up showing that match that I had with Sabu to Jeff Jarrett, who gave me the opportunity in 2003 to go down. It was April of 2003, and go down and have a tryout, I guess. And they ended up liking me enough, and I ended up being there for 11 years before I left the first time, but then I've been back. So, yeah, it's been that was a long time ago.
Chris,
Two
with
gold.
the forbidden door being kicked down for the past year, that we've been able to see a lot of wrestlers from other companies show up, Impact, show up in AEW. What is it for you to see a guy like Kenny Omega be an Impact champion, AAA champion, AEW champion, and for now, someone for you to be challenging the ROH championship at an Impact show? What has the forbidden door being kicked down has meant to you as far as someone who's been in this business so long?
It's been very cool to see, honestly, just companies working together, exchanging talent,
Right,
not trying to trying to work together to make the wrestling business better as a whole, as opposed to trying
right,
to put your competition out of business so you can do better.
right.
Ultimately, with the Forbidden Door, it's about the talent. Like it's giving people more work. It's providing matches for the fans that they wouldn't be able to see otherwise. And it's like it's great to see people succeed, especially when they're good people like Kenny Omega. See him win all those belts and just go on that amazing epic run. That was really cool to see. And I think that probably played a big role in opening the door for more companies to work with Impact Wrestling. So hopefully it continues long into the future because I really enjoy the Forbidden Door stuff.
Awesome, awesome. Go ahead, man.
Speaking of Impact Wrestling, what do you think is what has it been about Impact that you think has kept you guys relevant for so long? You guys have ebbs and flows, but I feel like right now, Impact especially is really, starting to bubble back up and really come back up and really keep fans' attention now. And you guys have some awesome talent there. One of the things that I mentioned earlier was that you were a former X Division champion, and to me, at the time, you had a six-sided ring, the X Division championship still, and the knockouts. I feel like the X Division and the knockouts, the way the women were presented was something that always kind of kept Impact in the fold, because you guys were pushing even then what companies are just now really starting to kind of focus on, which is the smaller talent and the female talent. So with that, uh, how much of a come up do you say Impact has had, even during the pandemic? Because you've seen a lot of companies really, really kind of reemerge after the whole COVID-19 thing first started till now.
Yeah, I think that Impact, even though it's the same company, Impact in the form of TNA, which is what it was called back in the day, I think that
Mm-hmm.
they solidified their legacy in pro wrestling history. There's no doubt about it. Just the talent that has come through TNA throughout the years. You know, if you see a lot of the top talent in WWE at one point, a lot of them were in TNA. You know, like the
Yeah.
AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, all those guys. But I really commend them and how they ran the company through the pandemic. You know, they didn't. No one got released. They continued with business. I mean, things were tough, but they did the best
Yeah.
they could. And
Right.
I have a lot of respect for Impact Wrestling and everyone that works there as a whole for how everyone handled the pandemic. And it's a company I'm proud to work for. And you know, people want to see Impact Wrestling succeed, and I think that's the biggest thing about Impact. You know, it's been around a long
Yeah.
time, and we've had our
Yeah.
ups and downs, but just like there's always going to be people that want to see that company succeed, including myself. And you know, if I
Absolutely.
spend my entire career at Impact Wrestling, then you know, I would not think my career was a failure at all.
Not at all. Not at all. And one more, and I'm passing my partner.
Mhm.
Briefly, you and Alex Shelley. You guys were definitely one of my favorite tag teams to watch. Man, to me, I feel like you guys really revitalized my love for tag team wrestling, because for a while, just in wrestling in general, I kind of feel like tag team wrestling kind of was forgotten about. Just kind of explain, how important was Alex Shelley to your career as well, and what does he think about your newfound opportunity now, going for such a major world singles championship?
Oh, I mean, he was extremely important to my career. I mean, worked side by side with the guy as a tag team for years, and
Mhm.
you know, he's such a good wrestler and so talented that I mean, if you're working side by side with someone like that and you don't learn anything, then yeah, you know,
Yeah,
you're probably doing things wrong. You know, so yeah, of course, he's had a huge influence on my career, and it's been awesome tagging with him throughout the years. And I don't think either of us would be where we were if it weren't for the Motor City Machine Guns. I think that
yeah.
really just propelled both of our careers to levels that might not have been possible us individually on our own at the time. So, yeah, yeah.
How do you feel about Impact when you first started out from 2003 to about 2010? I think when you left, and now coming back into the new version of Impact, seeing the fresh faces, a lot of the people that weren't there obviously when you were there, but obviously there's something a little different from the first time to now. How do you feel about Impact now
Yeah,
compared to then?
it's like I would say it's a little more streamlined now than it was
Okay.
back then. A lot of the times back in the day, I wouldn't be able to tell you who was doing what or who was really in charge or who I should go for certain things, and who it
Right.
was kind of like they kept like the what was going on in the office a little separate from the boys and all that. Like, I mean, maybe I just needed to ask. Maybe I didn't care to like seek out that information enough, you know. So maybe it's just
Okay.
me. But yeah, half the time I didn't know, you know, what was going on in the office and all that. But now, it's a sense that like we know that there's one person ultimately to come down to make the final decision if we
Right.
need it, and that's Scott Demore. And it's nice to have that because at least we just having that one person just be like make a decision. You know, if there's, you know, should we do this? Should we do that? You know, maybe trying to decide between two different things, and then just to have someone to step in and be like, all right, let's, you know, you decide. You know, ultimately you can make the decision. So that's nice to have, and it's just. You know, it's a lot different now than back then, but I think the company's better, and I just really hope that I can continue to help make an impact successful.
Now that you as a former Ring of Honor star, what is it for you to be going for the Ring of Honor championship? Obviously it's a special big deal because Impact is going to host this for the very first time. But for you, someone who's been through that company, you've had success there. How is that for you now getting this opportunity? You're a former TNA world heavyweight champion. So how does it feel for you to add this to your to your legacy?
Yeah, it's extremely cool, and it's a huge opportunity because the list of people who have held the Impact World Championship and the Ring of Honor World Championship is very small. I think it may be like 3 or 4 guys. So
Right.
that would be, quite a notch in my belt for my career and quite a history-making moment. So yeah, it's a really big deal.
Okay. Franchise.
Speaking of, the Impact, it's not Impact Championship, the Ring of Honor World Championship. Not to put you on the spot, but I gotta ask you. Say Saturday, January 8th, Chris Sabin becomes your new ROH World Champion.
I
Who
can
is
see it
one
happening.
person? If you had one defense, who is one person you would love to share the ring with to defend that title against?
To defend the Ring of Honor Championship, someone in Impact, or can it be anyone? Like we're talking
It,
Forbidden
it,
Door.
it, it could be
Anyone.
anyone, any gender, any promotion.
I would like, because I'm thinking about hype. Like what kind of match would probably get a lot of hype? So I'm thinking if
Uh-huh.
we had that for Forbidden Door, and maybe had, because of his history in Impact Wrestling and because of his history in Ring of Honor and the Ring of Honor World Championship, I would say bring Jay Lethal over and let me
Whew.
and Jay Lethal have
Mm,
a one-on-one match for the Ring of Honor Championship in Impact Wrestling, because we both have history in Impact, we both have history in Ring of Honor. I just
most
think,
definitely.
and it'd be a cool Forbidden Door thing because he's working with AEW right now. So
Okay,
That's awesome.
speaking of the Forbidden Door, if you could choose one person, just off the record here, if you could choose one person to bring in to face personally, you already said Jay Lethal. Who is one person that's not in Impact right now that you haven't wrestled you wouldn't mind sharing the ring with?
I think it would be pretty cool to do. Well, actually, I would need 3 people for this, but I think it'd be cool to
That's
do
fine.
one more match of Motor City Machine Guns versus the Young Bucks one more time.
Ah, yes, yes.
Yeah.
I can
Okay.
see that. I can see that.
Too cold, your turn, brother.
Man. Okay, so let's get to the pay-per-view, man. Jonathan
Yeah.
Gresham, man. How do you, when you look at this guy and you see what he's done, and obviously, you guys are, I believe you guys can tear the house down. What are you looking for? Like how pumped are you to be fighting or going up against him?
Yeah, I'm super excited. He's such a sound technical wrestler, and
Right,
I've been in the ring with him a little bit. It was
right.
multi-man matches. We've only been in the ring together. We've never had a singles match, but he's a guy that it's hard to really build a strategy against because he's such a good
Mhm.
wrestler and he knows so many counter holds, and he's
Right.
just an intelligent wrestler overall. So he's the kind of guy that you kind of just have to go in there with being very fluid and being like, all right, I'm not going to come up with a solidified game plan. I just got to be ready for anything because that's how good he is in the ring. He can do almost anything. So
That's a great point. Go ahead, Franchise man.
All right, Chris, Dallas, Texas, Saturday, January 8th. And then, of course, you guys are going to have a live taping Sunday, January 9th. Now, we talked about your match, but I want to talk about, just a little bit more of the card in general. What is a match, aside from your own, that you think possibly will steal the show? What is a match you think the fans probably aren't really too sure about, but may, be that top match outside of yours that fans should get ready to look forward to
hmm.
on Saturday?
I think the sleeper match is the Knockouts Ultimate X match. I think that's going to be something
Yeah.
very unique.
Whew.
I'm not sure. I don't
Yeah.
know what the fans are expecting going into it. I don't know what to expect going into it, but
I,
yeah, I think that could be a sleeper match of the night.
Speaking
awesome.
of an Ultimate X match, how dangerous of a match type is that? Like, well, if you had to rate it on a scale of 1 through 10 compared to just a normal traditional match, what are your honest thoughts on the Ultimate X match itself?
Yeah, it's a lot more dangerous than a regular match for sure. I don't know how much more dangerous because even just stepping in the ring, regular matches, you're putting your health on the line,
Absolutely.
already. With the Ultimate X match, throwing in the climbing and the like traversing yourself across the cables and
Yeah.
possibly dropping, 8, 9, 10 feet from the air. Yeah, it adds a lot of risk to the match, and it's dangerous. And I don't know. I'm still here 21 years later, and I've had 17 or 18 Ultimate X matches. So if you go into it with the right mindset, I think you can survive.
Who do you look at? Who do you see possibly coming out victory in that match?
I'm,
If you had to
I,
look at it, who do
eh,
you think?
Jordan Grace. I'm going with Jordan Grace.
Ah,
So on the Impact Wrestling Twitter, if you fans want to check it out, they posted a video of her coming to me for advice for the Ultimate X match, because I've been in more Ultimate X matches than anyone. So there, a little video on that. So, but because she asked me for advice, of course, I'm going for Jordan Grace.
All right, awesome, man. Go ahead, man.
I got a question for you. So, as performer-wise, not aesthetically, but just as far as taking bumps in the ring, we all thought the 6-sided ring was cool. But for you personally, if you had a preference, what would you prefer, 6-sided or 4-side?
So, if I'm just doing a regular wrestling match, I would think a 4-sided ring. Just because, like you said, the ring being, it is a harder bump inside the 6-sided ring. Maybe it was just the one we had at Impact, but yeah, the bump was a lot harder. The 6-sided ring was cool because you can be a little more creative with it, and the ropes were a lot tighter. So I really enjoyed doing springboards off the 6-sided ring, just because the ropes were so tight. I mean, you could just like bounce off those ropes like nothing. But at the same time, on the top turnbuckles, it's a wider stance. The ropes are wider than the 90-degree angle on a 4-sided ring. So it's harder to stand up on the top rope too. So they both have positives and negatives, but overall, I think I like the traditional 4-sided.
Has there been any conversation of possibly bringing it back? I know a lot of the real hardcore fans who appreciated the 6-sided ring because it was something different. We never saw a ring like that, and then to see you guys be able to work with inside that ring, was there ever any conversation, or that hey, maybe we'll do this for a special one-off, for maybe an Ultimate X match, or something different, not for this particular pay-per-view, but something down the line?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if there's been any talk about it, but I think that would be really cool. Maybe we're just maybe a TNA throwback show or something like that. Like, call it TNA, have the 6-sided ring, bring in some old names or something, just special for fun or something like that.
Awesome.
All right, Chris. So January 8th, Hard to Kill. Tell the people, how can they find you? How can they watch this match? Where can they go? All the streaming services. Can you plug it for us?
Yeah. So, well, for me, I have one Twitter account, no other social media, at Super Chris Sabin. That's where I can be found online. I don't have Instagram, don't have Facebook, don't have Snap or any of that stuff. Just that one Twitter account. Hard to Kill is going to be on pay-per-view. So it's at the Factory in Dallas. So I'm not sure if tickets are available or not. Last I heard that they were almost completely sold out. So, if you're going to want to see that, you're definitely going to want to check for tickets if you were thinking about going. Yeah, it's going to be live on pay-per-view January 8th. You can order it there. You can order it on Fight TV. I think it's also available on the Fight Network. I'm possibly I think just regular classic pay-per-view. But there's services you can use if you just have access to the internet, and you don't have the traditional pay-per-view route, calling your cable company or ordering it on the TV. All you need is internet access. So everyone has access to watch.
Oh yeah.
That has the internet.
Well, we won't need any internet because we'll actually be there live, man. So I shouldn't say
Awesome.
this, but I'm gonna tell you to your face, man. We will be rooting for you, man. We're gonna cheer for you.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
If you hear a couple of loud people in the back, man, just know 99.9%.
Just know it was us.
Probably us.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks.
Definitely
guys.
Want to see you make history, man. Congratulations, because like I said, for us to, I'm a little older than him, so I've watched TNA. I've gotten to see you and Shelley and a lot of other people, Sunday, Junt, Styles, Christopher. I've seen you guys all have great matches. So to see you get this type of opportunity again, like I say, that forbidden door, the wrestling guys are smiling on the wrestling fans right now. So we thank you, and it's going to be awesome to see you. Hopefully, I'm going to put it out there, man, that you're going to walk away with this championship, man. So, but thank you for taking the time out with us.
Thank you, guys. It was a pleasure. Appreciate it.
Thank you too. Ladies and gentlemen, as always, thank you once again for tuning in to another episode of Generation Wrestling Podcast. As always, I'm the 28-year-old piece of gold. He's too cold. And this man right here just may well be your next ROH World Champion.
Will be.